How do you know God exists? That's a huge question, isn't it? In fact, it's one of the biggest questions that can be asked, that can ever be asked. It gets right to the heart of our existence, our purpose, our meaning behind everything. But before we dive in, we need to define exactly what we mean by the question. And I think to do that, we need to look at it in two different ways. First of all, how do you know that any God exists? And then secondly, if there is a God, which one is it? Now, I think the answer to the first question is that there is a God. And I want to show you why. Look, I'm going to firstly challenge you to use your intuition. Have you ever looked up at the night sky? Have you ever been somewhere in the countryside where there's no light pollution and you look up and it is extraordinary, isn't it? As the stars appear and you see the Milky Way. Look, how can you look up in wonder at the vastness of the universe and conclude that it just came about by fluke, by chance, by accident? Well, maybe I'm just going soft and sentimental in my old age. Maybe experience and intuition isn't enough for you. You need rationality and reason. Well, fair enough. But let me try something else to prove my point that there is a God. And this time, I'm going to use science. You might be thinking, hold on, I thought science and belief in God were incompatible. But come with me, if you will, into the discipline of modern cosmology. Cosmology is the study of the universe as a whole. It's the branch of science that gave us the theory of the Big Bang. Now look, we're not going to go into the minutiae of all that's been discovered and proposed, but the concept of the Big Bang is now pretty much universally accepted because we can demonstrate one, that the universe is finite, it doesn't go on forever, and it is constantly expanding. Both of those things point to there being a moment where the universe began. It had a point of origin. It had a beginning. Now, all of the most recent studies in the field of cosmology point to this. The universe originated at some point. It had a beginning, and it begs the question, what started it? You see, you can't have something appearing from nothing for no good reason, without a first cause. Matter doesn't spontaneously appear. Nothing cannot give birth to something. So there must be something that existed before the universe to cause it to exist in the first place. That's just good science. There must be something that is beyond our universe, that is outside of time, that set everything in motion. There must be a God. Okay, you might concede that point, but how do you know which God is out there, I hear you ask? Is it even a God? Couldn't it just be like the Force in Star Wars, Mother Nature? Well, I want to try and show you that the God of the Bible is the only possible answer to that question. Look, we can get an idea of what God is like by looking at the universe itself. The universe itself is remarkable. It seems to follow consistently the laws of physics that we've discovered. The position of the stars in the sky can be mapped so that we know where they will be in thousands of years' time because of their regularity. Look, if we move close to home and look at Earth itself, this planet we live on, this rock, we find out that it is the only planet yet to be discovered that has the conditions required for life of any kind to exist, let alone complex, multi-celled, intelligent life. Look, we could spend ages here, but look, the position of the Earth relative to the Sun, the angle of its axis, the speed of its rotation, the length of the year, the position of the Milky Way itself and the Earth within it are all fine-tuned to the point where if any of those conditions were different, life would be impossible. It stands to reason that a creator cannot create something that is greater than themselves. And so we get an idea of what God is like by looking at the most intelligent form of life there is, and that's us, that's humans. That we are relational, we feel emotions, we can think, we can reason, we can imagine, we produce culture and civilizations. And so all of this means that the God who made this universe must be precise, ordered, consistent, never changing. The God who birthed the universe must be personal and relational, and must be involved constantly in keeping everything going. The God who existed before the beginning of all things cannot be an impersonal, distant, chaotic God or a force, because the universe as it is couldn't be created by something like that. The only God who fits all of these descriptors is the God of the Bible. Now, I think I've given you enough to make my case, but there's one more bit of evidence to send your way. The God of the Bible has made himself known. Your God is so involved in his universe that he came into it in the person of Jesus and lived on earth. This is astonishing. The Creator became part of the creation. Your time doesn't permit us to dwell too long here, so here's a summary. Jesus came to earth claiming to be God, and he backed it up by calming the storm, walking on water, healing hundreds of sick people, teaching with authority and raising people from the dead. He showed that he had authority over every aspect of the universe. He even claimed that he would defeat death itself, and he did. Jesus was crucified, buried, and then on the third day rose again to life. You see, the complexity of the universe demands that there is a creator. The nature of the universe points alone to the God of the Bible. And in case that wasn't enough, Jesus himself came and lived among us to point us in the right direction.